All right. Can you see my screen well?
Yes, all good.
I'll just set it up a little bit. All right, so I was looking for a case to do, and I was scrambling through, and this is one that I could find from another user in Italy as well. And I thought, oh well, let's make this bridge. So there's quite a lot to absorb, and I'm going to go through it quite fast. So if there's any questions, maybe hold them for later, or you can ask Wolfgang and he'll relay this through to me. So of course we've got a scan. This is what these typical scans look like. We've got these dies that are separated, and it's sort of aligned to the center of Blender. So this is quite important to actually get it more or less to alignment. Don't start the case where the scan is upside down or something, because we're heading down the wrong path. So in the crown module, the first thing we want to do is we want to separate, we want to group what belongs to what. So this is the working model, and then that is the antagonist. And we do that so that we can quickly hide and unhide structures. So here, antagonist, I'm going to hide. I'm going to go to the wax up and import some generic teeth. So if you have different teeth, or maybe these may not be the suitable teeth for you, so you can always grab some other teeth. So I'm going to delete the unwanted, and we're going to just place this into position. And this is like a wax up. It's very simple to do. Oh, we've got one additional tooth. We don't need that one. X delete. So if you lose a selection, instead of going like this, just click select all teeth like that. S to scale them down. And it's this shouldn't take you too long to do. Okay, so as you can see, that's more or less okay. I'm going to then put them into the other collection called teeth collection, and this will remesh them at the same time, because tooth libraries are all different in mesh structure. Following that, we want to do some marking of the dies. So we actually we call this cutting. We're actually cutting the mesh. So to start off with, and we're not going to do all of them. I'll just do 3 of them just to demonstrate how this works. So we're going to click on draw, and then everything else disappears, so that we can now focus on where we're going to draw. And now what I'm actually basically doing is making a contact model, because we need that to get a good contact later down the line. So here we use the E to extrude, and then shift left click and F, and then we're going to start cutting these surfaces. So that's surface number 1. We're going to do the die next, this one here next. Draw, and this is just like marking the margin. Again, what I'm using, E left click all the way to mark my margin. So here I'll just do it quickly, like that. Okay, here a little bit further down, maybe up a bit here, and then again fuse that, and then create upper surface. This is where we decide whether it's an up or lower. So don't click lower, because it's going to make it green, but it's going to not select the top, it'll select the bottom of it. And then here, the last thing that I'm going to show here is that the fact that we're going to do this on a Pontic as well. And this is so that we create a Pontic model, and that does help later down the line. Okay, like this. So here, okay, I'm exaggerating the area a little bit as well. And then we're going to cut the surface like that. So this is basically what we do, and we're going to do that all the way through. But just to save some time, I'm going to open up the other file. Here, surfaces, okay? Now, the next step is we need to survey these surfaces so that we can block out the path of insertion. So that's quite easy to do. All we do is we select all these by holding the shift and then left click, select them all, and then go to survey upper. This will put us, now we're looking from the bottom up, or you may think it's from the top down, but it's actually the top model we're looking from the bottom down. So the idea is to survey this. So we're going to go into this widget and we're going to move this. And of course, we need to concentrate here because we want to be able to see the margins all the way around. We want to see that the undercuts are sort of blocked out over here. And this takes a little bit of practice, but once you get that, it's not too difficult to do. Then we're going to block them out. You still there, Will?
Yes, yes. I'm just paying
Okay.
attention to the chat.
Yeah. All right. So we've got our blocked out models, which are transparent gray. The next thing is we're going to select the contacts, and we're going to eliminate these contacts out of all of the necessary stuff we want to do later on. So we're going to click here, select name upper contacts. If you click on the lower one, it will give you an error message. Following that, we want to create and support margins around these, because we can't just mill them like that. Because the margins may chip. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all three of those, and we can select how big the margin is. So I'll put 0.2 here, and you'll see a little parallel line gets added to these blue abutments. All right, following that, what we're going to do is we're going to create safety zone and spacer. And this is quite important. We can click on the auto, which will do the default values, but just to show you how it works, we're going to actually use a menu. So I'm going to click add spacer, and that adds a layer like as though we're painting the dies. Now we can change the marginal distance. Say you want it closer to the margin, you can put 0.5, which creeps it closer to the margin. And then we can set the thickness of it. So at the moment it's 50 microns, it's always double. We can make it thicker. If you're worried about fit or something, make it a bit thicker there. And then we're going to accept that. And then we're going to create a safety zone. Wolf, can you explain what the safety zone is good for?
Yeah, so the safety zone is an indicative layer. It's a green, like a transparent layer. And that gives us the idea of how thick the restoration has to be. The idea is you've got to get the mesh of the tooth library beyond the green safety zone. If it's within the safety zone, we know that the milling will be too thin. So it's just indicative.
So what we're going to do next is we're going to go into the occlusal adjustments, and we're going to view the antagonist first. So we're grabbing the antagonist back out of the collection, and then what we're going to do is we're going to make a cutter. Now this cutter is an offset. It expands this antagonist model by 0.1. So it expands it outwards all the way around. So if your zirconia crowns are too tight in occlusion, you would then set this to 0.2 or whatever, because that's a bit like using carbon paper when we eventually grind in the bite. So this gives us a good clearance. And then we're going to apply that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to select all of our teeth, and we're going to enter live trimming mode. Now, what is live trimming mode? Is we can take any tooth and move it, and the Boolean difference has been applied behind the scene. Like for example, here it's been cut. So as I move it, you can see how this tooth gets cut away by the antagonist. So we can reach a compromise between losing too much anatomy and and having no contact at all. It's yeah. So here here as well, we can actually see how it's been trimmed on the one side over here. Now, of course, we want to also make sure that it looks nice on the from the front section as well. Now, while I'm here, what we can do is like this marginal ridge is a little bit low. I can select this and go into edit, and then I can take this and make sure the magnet tool is, you've got to be aware between the magnet tool and proportional editing, what is actually happening. So here I can go grab Z and move the marginal ridge a little bit higher if I want to. So we can, okay, so here like this, and then grab in the Z direction. So we can still manipulate this mesh. And for example, over here, what I want to do is I want to get a better adaptation to the tooth prep, because the actual tooth is too small.
Yeah, so Michael, this
here,
is where you're pulling it over the green safety zone, the mesh.
yeah, so we can see the green safety zone, and what I want to do is I want to just manipulate this mesh and make it a bit larger so that we can then generate the tooth when it comes to it, something like that. Over here, I can lift it a bit by 0.5 maybe. Here 0.5, it actually lifts it up like that. Now, so this one's fine. The Pontic is a little bit wide, so I'm going to have to scale this a bit. But let's go into object mode here. So I'm going to scale this one down a little bit, shift it across, just to make more space for this premolar over here. This just takes a little bit of time to shuffle around and scale the teeth and so on and get them correct. So this one I'm going to move across as well using the G key. So we're just making things a little bit, we just fine shifting these a little bit more. Maybe I'll angle this tooth a little bit like this. All right, so that's looking quite good. This one here, we're going to edit as well and pull this mesh over this pencil line like that. So so this is not that difficult. It's just a little bit of practice just to get it correct. So this one here, we're going to do the same thing. And I'm just clicking on it and using the G key to grab it like this, grab like that. Okay, so that's looking really good. Over here, maybe we'll pull this mesh up a little bit like that, and then pull it up by 0.5 like that. So that already looks quite good. I'm happy with that. We can then go and generate this mesh into a crown. So here maybe this one here, I'll just edit this a little bit more like that. Okay, that should do the trick. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to trim these restorations so they're permanently been trimmed, and then we can go to the next menu and we can generate these crowns. I can opt to do the Pontics first. So let's go to the Pontics menu, and I'm going to be selecting this Pontic. I'll just hide this one and this one, because these are Pontics. And then we're going to just quickly edit this mesh as well, because what I want to achieve is to get the Pontic on inside the pencil line like that, like this. Okay, that's perfect. And then I'm going to just double check this one as well, and just grab this and pull it inwards a little bit like that. All right, so that's looking really good. You can change your Pontics if you want to at this stage as well. All right, so we're going to cut these Pontics. And then once they're cut, you'll see from underneath they're cut. We can add tissue compression if we want to by clicking on this one. So it'll add 0.1 millimeter every time we click on this for tissue compression. So here again, there as well, 0.1 millimeter. Finally, we want to generate these crowns. So I'm going to click on this one and generate upper crown. And we'll just wait for it to do its calculation. And then we're going to go to this one, generate the upper crown. So what this generating does, it takes the undercuts away from the inside. It also uses the die spacer and creates a space from the die spacer that we initially put down. Okay, so the bridge is almost finished. The last thing that we need to do is we need to join them up, all of them. So we're going to go into the bridging menu, which is over here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of these and we're going to unify these into one object. So we'll just wait for it to do its work. All right, it's done its work. We can check in transparent mode. You'll see these little rings like openings here, which means that these have all been unified, which is really awesome. After that, we're going to strengthen this bridge a bit. So we're going to put this into a different collection. And what that does, it creates a protective layer in case we make it too thick, for example, or because it's a bit like adding wax in the lab. So this is exactly the same. So we're going to make this blob, and we can scale this. Now we can scale it any size we want because this pink will actually make sure that it's not going to go on the inside surface. So here, I'm just going to make it a bit bigger. And this is up to you how much you're going to strengthen the bridge. Okay. So now that I've done that, I'm going to join the weld. And then we'll briefly just give it a quick smoothing down, smooth. Just like that, we can smooth it down. Okay. I'll smooth down the entire bridge once it's finished, so I won't be spending too much time on this like that. All right, so exit. There's one thing left to do, and that's the contacts, the mesial and distal contacts of this bridge. So we're going to go to the contacts menu, and we're going to expose our pink contacts, which are over here, and we're going to make models out of these. So auto contact cutter, we're going to choose our bridge, and we're going to go into the shaping of the contacts. Now here, it's a good idea to hide the green model. We can easily do that by clicking on this, looking for the upper segment, hiding that, and then we're going to look at it from the side, and we're going to bulge it out, the contact. So that depends how broad you want your contact to actually be. Let's have a look on the other side. There's no contact at all. So we're going to bulge that out a little bit like this. Okay, something like that. And then once we're done, we're going to cut this, cut it. And then following that, we're going to smooth it down. Smooth with protection. Okay, like that. Smooth there, smooth here. All right, so that's looking really good, and exit. So finally, I can delete these cutters, and I'll go and smooth the entire bridge one last time. Smooth with protection. And this time around, I'm going to smooth around the margins as well, like that. Something like that. That's looking good. Notice that the gray area is a protected zone, so we cannot damage, at this stage, we cannot damage the inside surface. Note how wide this tooth actually is. Okay, this is looking really nice. Okay. It's looking really good. Okay. And then exit. And then that finishes the bridge. Gonna unhide our model again over here, and that finishes it. And then the final step, we're going to select it, go to finish, and we're going to then export. We're going to put this into the collection, which will then correct the bridge. It'll put it into the center of Blender where it needs to be, with the point of origin in the middle, and then click on export and then save it as a bridge. Make sure that you click on selection only box and then export, and then send it out for milling. So that went rather smooth, Wolfgang.
Yeah, it's just 20 minutes. You're meant to go for a whole hour, Michael.
Well, I think the way I feel and you feel with COVID and everything, it's a blessing it was only 20 minutes.
I'm sort of over it now, so it's all good.
Yeah.
All right,
Anyway.
thank you for doing that, Michael. I will actually stop screen share or record.